Okay, here's a video detailing some diving adventures I had the other day in a freshwater lake here in Texas. First of all, I was kind of looking for things. You see the mystery object. I was hoping maybe to find a nice deluxe fishing pole or some other thing that was cast off from a boat accidentally. So I'm scrounging around looking, and what do I find here? But first it looked like a stick, but then I realized, alas, I did actually find a fishing pole. It wasn't quite what I wanted. It was a Zebco 33 combo. Looked like maybe, I would only guess, but I wonder if someone just threw it in the lake intentionally. I don't know. But you can see the zebra mussels really crustied it up, and wasn't really a keeper. It's not Armageddon yet, so I did not need that. I kept looking and hoping, and so this is what I was hoping to find: a nice Yum umbrella flash mob all rigged out, $30 setup, and I in fact did find it, but in all honesty, it wasn't in the water. It was when I was walking back from diving. So there you go. So I did find a treasure. Just would have been a lot easier, a lot less neoprene involved in the 100-degree heat. But anyways, back underwater. One thing I noticed when I was diving was the bluegill really just followed me around, and I really wasn't sure why. It gives the impression that there are just tons of them there, but I know that's not really possible. I asked my diving buddy, and he said that they're eating the mussels. So, in order to test that theory, I crunched some up and see if they would come around and eat it. And sure enough, they did. And the reason why they're following me around is basically as I fumbled around along the rocks, I was crushing the mussels for them. So apparently they're not able to really eat the zebra mussels that easily intact, but once someone steps on them or crushes one with their hand, then it's game on. And so that entertained me for a while. I just crushing up zebra mussels and feeding the gills, and I guess a long ear. So I don't know. Seems like if someone put some show cracker in the lake, they'd be pretty happy. But after a while, these fish, they get used to you feeding them, and they're not shy at all. So uh, suppose if someone wanted to, that would be free bluegill bait. They could just scrape up some zebra mussels, and provided they don't move it anywhere else, they could just put it on a hook somehow, and there would be their bait. Also, be pretty good chum, I guess, if you took a broom handle or something and just scrape the rocks underneath wherever you're fishing. I'm sure that would get a lot of bluegill attention. So, I don't know. Anyways, it is interesting to see the fish schooling around. It reminds me just a little bit like Jacques Cousteau. If I only had about 20 feet visibility, I'd be in luck. I saw a bass zoom around. I have a feeling those bass won't turn up a zebra mussel as well. They're just not as friendly. So at any rate, I was curious if the bluegill were lower, and wanted to explore a little deeper to see what things were like. So I ended up going deeper, and one thing we found was once you got a little deeper, you got out of the 70, 80-degree water. The water was 60 degrees, about 8 to 10 foot down. It also really cleared up. So my buddy pointed out there is a thermocline in effect. I don't think it was enough to keep the fish out. Like there was oxygen below that 8 to 10 foot range. But as you can see, the water was just dramatically clearer. And, if I was only a better diver, I think I really would have enjoyed scraping along that little bit deeper depth. But I have to admit, after about 10, 15 feet down, my ears start to hurt a bit. So you can see, just again, descending down from the haze, the first 8 feet of water or so. It's just very murky and very warm. Then you hit a distinct line where the water feels cool. It must be a good 10, 15 degrees cooler. And it's just much clearer, even along the rocks where there's a lot of silt and debris. Now the exception to this was later when a wake boat started zooming by, and that really mixed things up. It didn't really mix the temps that much, but it murked up the water deeper at least. So at any rate, just coming up for another breath. The water clarity is not great in fresh water, but I have to admit it's pretty fun diving nonetheless. It's something that took me a long time to get around to do, but and it's not very ambitious here, but it certainly is interesting to see the fish and their natural habitat and to see things like the thermocline starting to kick in.